we face today. Therefore, I will not cover that ground again. Today, we are having the first discussion after the announcement of the IMF program. It's being held in a hotel which is a symbol of our first commercial economy, the plantation economy. The British are the ones who carried the transformation from a feudal economy to a commercial economy. The first ventures in coffee collapsed, and then came the big transformation of tea, rubber, coconut, and the development of the other industries, services, and of the Colombo port. And this is a symbol where people would come here and discuss issues, firstly the Britishers, later on the Sri Lankans. So that generation in 50 years created a new economy. Now, after independence, the task has come on us, that came on us to continue that work. We have done so well that today our poverty line, people living below poverty, has increased from 12.5 to 25% of the population. There are people who skip one meal. There are 500,000 who have lost their jobs. Many small and medium enterprises on the verge of collapse. What happened? Who's responsible? But answer, not I, sir, but Red Cap will not do. All of us are responsible for the situation we are in today. We must remember that. All of us here, whether we are the politicians, whether we are the business community, whether we are the professionals, whether we are the trade unions, whether we are the civil society, and more than others, whether we are the media or we are the government administrators, we cannot run away from that responsibility. We must all bear that. If we still continue pointing fingers at each other, we will not succeed. But what matters to us is not merely the IMF program, but also what comes beyond that. But what we have to do now is ensure that the next generation will live in a prosperous society. That's all that the government is seeking to do. The start is difficult, as the minister explained, but nevertheless we have to go along. We cannot by any means move away from it. What is our task? It's not merely to stabilize the economy, but to ensure growth, to grow in this new global economy, and to go ahead. These are facts that we can't get away from. If we are to do this, we must remember that one of the biggest issues that held back our growth is the ethnic issue. We have to think as Sri Lankans. We cannot divorce that issue from the economic issues. There are two E's, as I can see it. And we have to address both those issues. I am not dealing with that issue now. This is not the time or the place. But nevertheless, we have to decide, we have to acknowledge it. Secondly, how do we carry on our discussions at this crucial moment. We are a democracy. Open debate is useful, and it's good that we have members representing government and opposition, the business community, the professions, but we have to discuss and debate these issues. And discussion must take place in the halls of discussion from Parliament downwards, not in the streets. That type of agitation is no longer suitable for a country and goes on development. But the decision is ours to take, not for the government to enforce. We can only ensure law and order. But otherwise, where do we hold our discussions? That's the second issue. So it's from here that we have to go forward. I will not deal with the details of the IMF package. As you all are all aware, it has many, in addition to what the Honorable State Minister said, there are also other important objectives. It will bring about a significant revenue-based fiscal adjustment based on progressive tax reforms to raise Sri Lanka's revenue to GDP ratio. It's a progressive one so that we gradually reduce the tax burden on the poor who has to bear the brunt of the VAT system. Better public expenditure and debt management through essential institutional reforms. And enhance social safety net to cushion the poor. Restoring price stability and a market-determined flexible exchange rate, and rebuilding our international reserves. Then ensuring financial stability through a healthy banking system. Now, these are some of the key objectives of this IMF reforms, in addition to what the minister has mentioned. Therefore, what we are seeking is to stabilize the economy by 2026. Come back virtually the same ratios we had in 2019. So we have 7 years to come back to 2019. Is that enough? That is the issue. Anyway, approval of this program will allow Sri Lanka to commence negotiations with private and official creditors on restructuring its debts in line with the parameters set by the IMF Debt Sustainable Assessment, and also the commitments that I have made with my letter of March 14th. We hope to conclude the discussions and arrive at a comprehensive restructuring agreement with the creditors by the time the first review under the EFF in 6 months takes place. In order to keep its part of bargain with the creditors and fully benefit from the debt restructuring, Sri Lanka will need to implement the commitment under its 4 years economic program. So we still have to start the debt restructuring, especially the discussions with our private creditors. From here, do we stop at this stage, do the debt restructuring and the 4-year program? That is not enough. If you want to give a future to your children, if you want to give a future to the youth, then we have to go forward. Because Sri Lanka is today at the crossroads between seizing the opportunity for growth to fix our long-standing institutions and structural problems to become a prosperous society, or denying our problems, rejecting change, and stagnating as a lower middle-income country. Implementing this program is how we seize the opportunity for a more prosperous future. We have to deliver this. The dissatisfaction with all our systems, with the government, with the opposition, with the conventional groups, resulted in last year March of young people marching on to Goldface Green, the start of the Aragalaya. Unfortunately, it was taken over by violent extremists. Then what have the young people done? Now they are voting with their feet and leaving the country. So this is what we have to think. Not to study the IMF program and decide we are looking at one, we'll support item 1, we won't support item 2. Are we going to stabilize the industry, create growth, and become a prosperous society? So this is why what is most important in the IMF, addition to stabilization, is the growth-enhancing structural reforms. If we don't do these structural reforms, you can write it out, and next time it's going to be a far more violent uprising. And we must boldly go ahead with these structural reforms, which will unlock our growth potential, put on a high growth trajectory. That's the only way out. So we have to reduce the role of the government in the economy to increase efficient resource allocation, competition, and productivity. We must not look at government to bail everything out. We cannot look at government as the ultimate provider of solutions to issues that cannot be resolved by the market. Then further trade liberalization, including rationalizing remaining para-tariffs. The world global economy is going to be more competitive. We have to adjust to it. The labor market reforms, which will enable more females to join the labor force. As our population age, it is necessary that more females join the labor force. Remove the impediments to private investment, including by modernizing the regulatory and doing business environment. Reduce electricity costs by improving the generation and the mix and distribution of power generation, leading to an efficient electrical distribution network. Addressing climate change. We have to go through this. There's no way out. If anyone has another system, let them get up and say so. And what I am aiming in the next 2 years to lay the groundwork for a highly competitive social market economy. We have to be competitive. So we'd like to upgrade our FTA with India to economic and technical cooperation agreement and join the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. I don't think we should hesitate. If Laos can join and Cambodia can join, why can't, and Myanmar can join, why can't we join? That's the issue. That means we are going to compete. High level of competition means an efficient government structure. And why do I say it's a social market economy? But we need more money. We can talk our education system covering 90% of the students having 10,000 schools. But what is the quality of education? We need money to make it one of the best education systems in South Asia, or the best education system in South Asia in the next decade. That is social progress. Secondly, the health system. We spend a lot of money on health, but do we get the benefit of every rupee we spend? We need to put more money into it. Into the social safety network, to the poor, to the vulnerable, we have to help them. So that's where we have to get bulk of our money into. Not to supporting the Petroleum Corporation or the CEB or Sri Lankan. We wasted too much of our resources on those occasions. So let us look at how we go ahead. Our potential for green economy at the moment is good. Not only renewable energy, but green hydrogen, green ammonia, and many other outputs resulting from this green energy, especially the biomass, which we have not thought of, wave energy, we should get into it immediately, like we got into the apparels as soon as 1978 reform started. A digital economy.
This is an AdaDerana live event.